All right, it's 1 o'clock, and we'll call this meeting back to order. Section of this meeting is the land use portion of the agenda, and Rhonda, I'll ask you to do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Buck?
Here.
Commissioner Schroeder?
Here.
Commissioner McDaniel?
Here. All right, first item on the agenda is regulation updates, which has been continued to 12/17 of 2025. The next item on the agenda is the Coyote Ridge PUD, PUD-2024-0258.
Commissioner, can I ask you to please continue the regulations so that we can have we'll have another work session tomorrow. If you will formally make a motion to continue it, then you all can hear it on the 17th.
Sure. All right, we need to get a motion for that, Lance, to continue. So I entertain a motion to continue.
Yes, Mr. Commissioner, I'll make a motion that we continue the regulations updates until 12/17/2025.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, sign of aye.
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 And to clarify, that's at 1 o'clock?
1 o'clock.
Thank you.
Coyote Ridge PUD. I'll turn it over to you, Jennifer.
Mr. Chair, I move we open public hearing on Coyote Ridge PUD 2024-0258.
All right, second.
Second.
It's a motion second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Now, Jennifer.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. The Coyote Ridge PUD proposal is before you again this afternoon. You all had previously heard this item back in October, and so I do have just a brief presentation just to remind you all and everyone in the room some of the details, and then the applicant is also here, and they also have a brief presentation for you this afternoon. So as a reminder, the property is about 112 acres located at that northeast corner of County Road 178 and 13. It's currently zoned A and is proposed to be a PUD. If we look at the whole county here, this property is up in the northwest corner. We'll zoom in. You can see the purple nearby is the Spring Valley Ranch, and then there is a variety of zoning districts in this general area. Zooming in even a little further, the subject property is shown in that teal-colored box there at 178. There are 4 35-acre parcels directly north of the subject site that are under the same ownership but are not part of this application. And then just for reference, the currently existing homes in Spring Valley Ranch that are nearest to this site are about a half mile to the south. So since you first heard this back on October 8th, and then it was again briefly before you on the 22nd, the applicants have made some revisions, and so I just wanted to highlight a few of those that seem to be relevant to this project. So the project previously included 237 residential units, and the applicants have decreased that total number to 221 units. They have taken out the single-family attached product, or commonly referred to as duplex products. They have taken those out, so it is single-family detached only under the current iteration. They've also increased the open space from about 43% of the site to 49% of the site, and that does decrease the overall density to under 2 dwelling units per acre. So I just wanted to highlight a few of those changes. They'll go into some more details on that. This is an updated graphic depicting the PUD. Again, 221 single-family dwelling units. They have made some changes that increase the open space over here on this eastern side, and a few other changes, including reducing those lots. Just for comparison's sake, I do have the previous graphic, so you can see it's similar in nature, but there are some shifts and a few changes there to accommodate this change. They also provided this graphic which highlights where some of the changes are. This was included in your packet just as a comparison, so I thought it was helpful to see. The red indicates areas that were previously either lots or roads that are now open space, and then the blue is the reverse, essentially. And so As a reminder, the criteria for this PUD zoning, I have those summarized, consistent with the comprehensive plan. Is it compatible with the surrounding land uses? Does the proposal adversely impact public services or the environment? Will the proposal create unreasonable traffic congestion or burden the road system without improvements? Or would the proposal be otherwise detrimental to current or future inhabitants? We have all the previous slides. If you all would like more detail, I tried to keep it pretty brief just to get started. And then the applicants are also here. And they have a presentation as well.
Come on up.
Okay.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Good afternoon. Let me have Dave start.
David Quattrochi, I'm a principal in the Coyote Ridge PUD rezone application. Hello, Commissioners. I'd like to start off by thanking you for this hearing so we can go over some of the updates we've done to the rezone application here. This time, I'd like to just give a quick overview of some of the updates and changes we've made to the application. Then our agent, Julie from THK, will kind of go into the weeds a little more detail. We have been working closely with the county staff throughout this process to ensure full compliance and to address each concern raised in the previous review. Our goal has been to make this project in line with county standards as well as community expectations. Some of the changes we've made, as Jennifer just referenced, we've increased the open space to 49%. The density has been reduced to 1.97 units per acre. We've completely removed all 32 of the duplex units, and we've replaced them with 16 single-family homes, reducing the total number of units by 16. After communications with CPW, which Julie has been back and forth with them pretty extensively to try to accommodate the wildlife, we have widened the east-west open space corridor, which reduces the negative impact on the wildlife. Of note, we have received approvals from all of the reviewing agencies. We will be committing our abundant adjudicated water rights to Spring Valley Metropolitan District, which will service this development. And just to state facts, that I've noticed in some social media posts that we don't have enough water. We've got plenty of water. We've got more water, much more water than needed for this development. So just to clear that up. So the revisions we've made reflect our commitment to responsible growth for the county. On a personal note, this has been a pretty long process for us. It may be a reach, but if, in the event we were to get unanimous approval for this project, it would just make my day. At this time, this is Julie Gamick with THK, and she'll go into a little more depth regarding the updates and improvements. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we can go past this slide. Dave's pretty much covered all of these bullet points. All right, so again, because you need to hear it for the 5th time maybe, we've reduced the density by 16 units, removing those duplex attached homes, which brings our overall density down to the 1.97. And we've removed those duplexes. So here's just a quick graphic kind of showing where we were, which is the bottom portion, and where we are. The other thing we wanted to note with the removal of the 16 units is we didn't just go in and cut off a block, for instance. We went in and we were kind of cognizant and careful about where those units were removed off of our conceptual plan and how that space was utilized in its stead. So one of the things that we did was we made an effort to go through and utilize our wider lot size, the 70 and 60-foot wide frontages as opposed to the 50s. So you'll see here in this graphic that now we have a fairly even one-third, one-third, one-third of those lot sizes, whereas before we definitely tilted towards the narrower lot frontages. So that was one way that we utilized some of that space that came out of those 16 units that we removed. As Jennifer noted, we provided this exhibit. It was in your packet. And we just wanted to kind of show you again that we did put some thought into where those 16 units came out, how those 16 units could help mitigate the impacts that we were having to wildlife. We did coordinate with CPW again after our last meeting with you all. I know that email correspondence was also included in your packet. A couple of the things that came from that we felt like we could address was widening the spaces adjacent to the floodplain more. CPW mentioned land fragmentation, which basically just, they said, hey, you know, as big of space as you can put in a contiguous area, the better. So we tried to widen that east-west corridor to help with wildlife movement and to have less little bits and pieces of land that were open space and tried to make it more contiguous. We also removed one of the roadway crossings of that east-west corridor to help mitigate some of the vehicular wildlife conflicts that happen when wildlife are crossing roadways and people are driving by. So those were some of the big ideas that we approached this revision with, trying to utilize that space that we gained by removing those 16 lots and putting that space in places that would help the wildlife. So this is the wildlife considerations. Again, this is sort of just a brief overview of the email that was provided by CPW. So we centralized the open spaces, we increased the width to make better connections, we protected the floodplains and provided additional width there, we removed roadway length and one crossing of that east-west connection, and if we are able to move forward into the preliminary plat stage, we'll make sure that we utilize the Colorado Guide to Trails and Wildlife in mind, which is the documentation the CPW provided as some guidelines on how to assist in the interaction between new development and wildlife. I'm going to let Chris talk a little bit about the traffic.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you, commissioners. I was here a month ago as well, and I was supporting our traffic study at that time, and I just came back up to just make two quick, brief points, and I'll turn it back over to Julie to wrap up. The first one is the assumptions that we had in this traffic study. There's lots of assumptions in studies, trip generation rates, background traffic growth, what other projects we assume in the background. And so the process we went through on this with your staff and Kimberly Horn was virtually identical to the process we went through for Spring Valley Ranch, Independence, Crescents, Prominence, much projects that are similar or larger than this one. And that's the first question or point I wanted to make. The second point is, I was supporting the project last time, we've lost some units. So if we were to update the traffic study, we would show less traffic. That's pretty intuitive, but I just wanted to state that traffic would go down 10 or 15%, based on the unit count drop. So if we were successful today, I'm sure we'd have to update the study at some point. We would use those newer numbers, and so I continue to support the project. I'm here to answer questions if anybody has any. Thank you.
Right.
And then again, we've gone through and updated the PUD documents and have provided those back to staff, just showing these updates to the conceptual planning, showing these updates to the unit count, showing these updates to the open space numbers. So we're hopeful that we've addressed the comments in a way that addressed what we heard from the community and from Planning Commission and from the commissioners themselves. So thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. All right, with that being said, this portion of the meeting will open up for any public input. Is there any public input? Going once, going twice? All right, seeing none. Commissioners, I'll ask the presenters to come back up at this point. Do you have any questions? Commissioners. Commissioner Book?
Sure, I have a couple quick questions. In reference to the email from CPW. So they still have concerns. It appears you tried to address some of those concerns, but he still has some in here. It is likely and predictable that a development such as this will impact surrounding areas. An example of this is increase in traffic will increase the probability of wildlife-related vehicle strikes. And he goes on and lists some other types of concerns in here. So what I was hoping, because I heard we had an update from CPW, was, oh, hey, they've addressed all my concerns. I was hoping for a positive report from him, maybe after your changes, and he said, hey, this looks like it's going to work for us, in his opinion, or what have you, but basically he just restated his concerns. Am I wrong, or am I reading this wrong?
So what our interaction with CPW was is after our last interaction, we went back and we said, hey, how can we help support the wildlife better? What types of movement directions, what types of floodplain things are beneficial to wildlife? And his response is an answer to a lot of those questions. He does say in there specifically that as far as density and stuff, that isn't in his purview. CPW doesn't respond to that. That's per the county regulations. We did not go back to CPW after making these updates and ask for additional communication.
Oh, okay. So I didn't know, I mean, the date on this is 11/16 on this email.
That's probably the date I sent it to
Or
Jennifer.
maybe it was printed on 11/16?
I'm sorry?
Maybe printed, or?
Yeah,
What's the date
the email from CPW probably
Oh.
came the last week of October.
Yeah, October
October
27th.
27th.
Yes,
I
so,
got it. Okay, just checking.
sure. Dave, did you want to jump in there?
Yeah, according to the CPW, they were referencing the movement of particularly antelope in that area, which are thriving in that area. The east-west corridor on either side of our development are 35-acre lots, and they're going to, as far as we know, remain 35-acre lots. So the wildlife has got plenty of path with or without this development. So, just wanted to.
Okay, yeah, he does mention pronghorn, and he says, and you stated they're currently thriving. He goes on to state that they will never would return. So, I'm not sure this helps, would be my concern, and I was looking for something different when I read this, that's all.
And I can hear you, and I appreciate what you're saying. As we talked about at our last meeting, all development is going to have an impact to wildlife. And so we've
But-
made an effort to kind of balance those goals a little bit better this round. And as I said, as we move through preliminary plat, we certainly are happy to continue to coordinate with CPW and get some additional feedback and some additional review. I know that they are a referral agency. From a rezoning stage, I understand the concern.
Okay. And you said all development, I mean, I think all development of this style and design would impact, not all development.
That's true, yes.
Yes, and in kind of a bigger, broader context, at least in the county, we are doing a higher density than maybe is in a lot of places in the county, but compared to EC West or EC East or Independence, we're very small scale. Our ownership has made a cognitive decision to keep the 4 35-acre lots to our north 35-acre lots. They chose not to develop the entire ownership area or to look for development of the entire ownership area. So again, we're trying to just balance a lot of moving parts and pieces to the best of our ability.
I understand that. Okay. Let me see if I have anything else for you while I have you here. I had some concerns at the previous meeting. We covered those, some of them being compatibility with our comprehensive plan. Our comprehensive plan states RD2, 3 miles from town services.
And we did look into that. We actually did a little map, which we did not provide to the staff, but just for our own. We're about 10 miles from Elizabeth proper. We're about 3.5 miles, 4 miles from town of Parker town limits, so not like downtown Parker, but the limits. So you're right, we are outside of that 3-mile area.
So,
What we've,
go ahead.
so from again, from kind of a bigger picture thought processes, this northwest portion of the county is where development's going to be happening. It's what's driving people into Parker. It's what's driving people into City of Aurora, moving north. It is that kind of, I'm going to call it point of connection to the greater Front Range metro area. I think that as far as, I am guessing and making the assumption that there are a fair number of these future residents that aren't going to be going into Elizabeth or Kiowa for employment opportunities. They're going to be going into Parker and going into Aurora for employment opportunities.
And for groceries.
But if you're working in Parker, I don't know where you're grocery shopping. You may or may not be doing that in Parker or Elizabeth. So I don't have any way of saying that every resident in this potential neighborhood is going into Elizabeth or going into Parker. I'm just from a big standpoint, when you look at the regional growth in the Denver metro area, this northwest corner really is kind of that locale where it makes sense because people are going to have more opportunities for groceries and for employment. And, we know they're going to the Douglas County school system, so they're moving that direction to take their kids to school, those kinds of items.
And then and the reason I brought that up is because I see that a lot of times in an application where the applicant will say, hey, we're in general compliance with your comprehensive plan, right? Well, when I hear that and when I see that, the applicant has chosen which parts of our comprehensive plan to follow and which ones not to, and they'll highlight the positives. Hey, we followed it here, we didn't follow it here, or maybe our guidelines per se. And our guidelines may be a compatibility issue or what have you. And I'll see them pick and choose, and they'll say, hey, we complied with your guidelines. Well, you picked and chose which guidelines. I'm not saying you guys, I'm just saying in general, I see that quite a bit, and I noticed it here.
And after our meeting last time, and you brought up the same concern, I went back and went through every goal in the comp plan because I felt like it was a valid point, and I wanted to make sure that what we were including or not including or acknowledging or missing, whatever the case may be. I did go through those line item by line item. We do not meet the 3-mile segment, which is one part of a larger goal. It's not a goal on its own in the comprehensive plan. That's not how it's written. And of course, we didn't meet any of the goals for like commercial development because we just aren't. So, but as far as the land use goals were concerned, and I am certainly happy to provide it to staff or the commission, kind of my internal red lines of it's like, yes, we did, or no, we didn't, or this is how, or this is why, if that is helpful for you, sir.
Okay. That's all I had at this point.
All right, Commissioner Schroeder?
No, I appreciate the effort that's been made. I'm sorry that we got to this point on this. But the application is there, it's complete. I appreciate the work. As far as the discussion on the comp plan, I think sometimes there's a confusion on what the purpose of the comp plan is. It's not regulatory. It's goals, it's visionary, it's here's what we'd like to see. And so there may be at times differences within the comp plan. And so probably I can't cross every T and dot every I on the whole comp plan, but it's a general compliance. And when we see that, as far as what the staff has put together for us for the approval criteria, it shows that it has been generally met in all of there. So I get confused sometimes why we bring up individual pieces of the comp plan, because it's got to be the whole picture. It has to be the whole vision of what the comp plan is intending to do, and that's why it's general compliance, not exact compliance. It's not regulatory. It's general compliance. So I appreciate the work that you've done. I'd be more than happy to look at your documents. I think that'd be interesting just for my purposes. But I also realize that this is just a zoning issue today. Lots of times we will hear the zoning issue in conjunction with a preliminary plat, where a lot more of these details then get ferreted out. But this is just before us today as a zoning matter by itself. And so as far as the zoning is concerned, it certainly meets the criteria for approval, as far as I'm concerned.
All right. I'd also echo that. I thank you for all the extra work you've done in clearing up and making some changes with that as well. All right.
I'm Bill Hart, one of the owners. I just wanted to make one comment. My understanding is that 93% of the county is open space, and that the wildlife tends to move to wherever the open space is. It seems like there's a lot of open space available. We wouldn't interfere with them moving. I know someone has said they won't move, but I don't know why that wouldn't be the case.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments, Commissioner? Yeah, last
No,
minute?
sir.
Okay, sir. Anything else?
Not this time.
All right, is there a motion on the table?
Mr. Chair, I will move that we approve Coyote Ridge PUD 2024-0258.
Okay. I will second the motion. There's a motion and a second. All in favor with the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries.
Thank you, and I will send that document just for fun reading sometime.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Sorry I didn't make your day.
Commissioners, just to clarify, is your motion to approve with the conditions proposed by staff in the staff report?
As always, yes.
Yes, I missed that. I apologize.
Just want to be clear.
Yes, thank you. All right, next items, we have the V Hill family rezone. Has been a request to open both. Well, let me back up a minute. We need to make a motion to close this Coyote Ridge hearing. Need a motion for that?
Mr. Chair, I move we close the public hearing on Coyote Ridge PUD 2024-0258.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, sign of aye.
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 All right, motion carries. Next, we'd like to open up the V Hill family rezoning numbers 3 and 4 together. Can we get a motion to open this meeting?
Mr. Chair, I move we open V Hill family rezone RZ 2025-004 and hear it concurrently with V Hill family preliminary plat PP-2025-0002.
Second.
All right, second. All right, all in favor, sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Today, my presentation will be for the V Hill rezone and preliminary plat. So the first you're going to see is the rezone and then the preliminary plat. So the site is located right off of Private Road 23 and north of County Road 124. It's about 57.5 acres. The current zoning is A, agriculture. The applicant here today is Jill Rapella, along with the V Hill family. And the request is a rezone from agriculture A to agriculture residential. Here's a look at most of our county. You can see that little blue circle. It's about 3 miles southeast of Elizabeth and 5 miles southwest of Kiowa. A zoning map here. Just to the north are the closest agriculture residential lots, the Watts subdivision. And the surrounding properties range in size from about 10 acres to 81 acres. Here's another aerial of the property. Again, Private Road 23 cuts through this oddly shaped property, kind of horseshoe shaped, a little bit like Maryland or something. Currently, there are no structures. There is forested area on both sides of the road. Pictured on the left side of the parcel is a driveway that connects to one of the lots in the Watts subdivision. There's a 40-foot wide easement there connecting to a lot at the south portion of that small subdivision. And here's a look at the other side of the property, the eastern arm of the property. This property is very interestingly shaped because it surrounds what was formerly a Titan missile silo site and the Elbert County compactor site, so a landfill there. And Elbert County owns the center portion. So a little background and existing conditions on this. Currently, there's no structures. It's about, again, 3 miles south of Elizabeth. South of that, Watts subdivision, similarly sized. There's forested areas on each side of the existing road. No wetlands or floodplain on the primary part of the parcel. There's a small wetland on the eastern arm over on the far side. And it will be accessed via private road 23. So a little project timeline for this. The process began last year, still 2025. January, this year is going quick, but still 2025. Community meeting was March 11th of this year, and there were a couple of referral periods in June and July of this year, and then August to September. Planning Commission meeting was the 21st of October, and here we are today, November 19th. All notice requirements were met per Elbert County zoning regulations. So here's a project overview of the agencies that reviewed the project and sent us comments. A lot of county agencies, as you can see, and then a few state and governmental agencies like the Elizabeth Fire Protection District. All comments have been addressed. During the community meeting, there were approximately 8 residents. The general concern was road conditions for the private road. Then there were a lot of general questions about the application process, and no written comments have been received since the community meeting phase. There was one comment during the Planning Commission meeting that brought up concerns about private road conditions and how that road would be maintained. Again, during the Planning Commission meeting on the 21st, there was one comment, and the Planning Commission voted 8-0 in favor of recommending approval with standard conditions for the rezone, and then we'll get into the preliminary plat here in a second. A few considerations for your decision today. Surrounding zoning is A, agriculture, and AR, agriculture residential. Consider compatibility with larger agriculture and smaller residential lots that range between 10 and 80 acres in the immediate vicinity. And then again, all referral agency comments have been addressed. So getting into the review criteria from Elbert County zoning regulations, Article 3C4. The first is that the application is generally consistent with the goals of the Elbert County Comprehensive Plan. And it could be found that this rezoning is consistent with the comprehensive plan. It's within 3 miles of a town. The proposed rezoning may support the goal of residential development that is supported by existing roads and infrastructure. The development would be accessed by the existing private road that bisects the parcel. And further, it may be supported by the residential goal of diverse lot sizes within the immediate vicinity. There's lots from 10 to about 80 acres. B, whether it is compatible with surrounding land uses. Surrounding properties are zoned agriculture and agriculture residential. The lots directly to the north of the subject property fall within the same zoning classification at agriculture residential. The proposed rezoning would allow for 10-acre minimum lot sizes, which are similar to some of the adjacent lots. And C, whether the proposed rezone would not adversely impact public services, public works, public health, and the Division of Water Resources reviewed the rezoning application and had no objections. Permitting for on-site wastewater treatment systems, which require approval from Elbert County Public Health, will be administered on a lot-by-lot basis. And then D, E, and F, whether the application will not adversely impact the environment. Kiowa Conservation District had no objections to this rezoning. With no evidence of concern shared, this proposed rezone would likely not adversely impact the environment. E, whether it would create unreasonable traffic congestion. Elbert County Public Works, again, was a referral agency for this project and had no objections. The proposed rezone would likely not create any unreasonable traffic or burden the existing road system. And F, whether it would be detrimental to the present or future inhabitants of Elbert County. Again, with no comments in opposition to this proposal from the Elbert County Office of Emergency Management, Sheriff's Office, and the Elizabeth Fire Protection District, and no evidence of any concerns from referral agencies, it could be found that this application will not be detrimental to the health, safety, or welfare of the present or future inhabitants of Elbert County. So these are the standard conditions of approval. First, that the applicant shall remove signs within 2 weeks. It shall not become effective until all fees are paid. Recordation of all appropriate documents to occur within 180 days. And 4, I don't think this actually does apply because there's no revisions, I believe, that need to be done for the rezone exhibit. So that is the presentation for the rezone portion of this application, and I'll just jump right into the preliminary plat, and that is case PP 2025-0002. Here's another look at the property. It shows the road that goes through there. It bisects the property currently, a few trees that are surveyed around the road. Again, you see that weird shape for this property. Here's another look, aerial, that really shows the surrounding area. You can see that, wide swath of trees that's there in the south and north of this one. It's a very beautiful area surrounding that former missile site. And then a larger look at the zoning further up. So here is the preliminary plat. Like I previously mentioned, minimum 10 acres, they're just proposing 5 10-acre lots here. The land east of the road will remain as open space to the horseshoe shape. So lot 2 has a building envelope that's going to be on one side of that road. Normally we don't have roads bisecting lots, but in this case it is a necessary modification. So the neighboring property, here's a look at it, and based on their own water engineer's use, they were advised by their water engineer to use a deeper aquifer because of potential contamination both from the compactor site and the Titan missile silo there. So this was again brought to Planning Commission on the 21st. There was an 8-0 vote in favor of recommending approval for this application. The Planning Commission did recommend 2 added conditions. The first was that the applicant use a deeper aquifer. The Denver aquifer is what they recommended based on the applicant's water engineer. And then they recommended a condition that the applicants make a good faith effort to establish a recorded shared private road maintenance agreement for the entire stretch of private road 23. It's hard to enforce some of these, but that is what the Planning Commission recommended. So a few review criteria coming from Elbert County Subdivision Regulations, Article 2C. The first is that evidence that provision has been made for a water supply that is sufficient. This preliminary plat was reviewed by the Division of Water Resources, and there was no objection noted to water adequacy. Water supplied will be served by individual wells. They deem their water supply plan to be adequate, and the quantity of water meets Elbert County's 300-year water supply, which we have a minimum of about 0.4 acre feet per household. This subdivision offers roughly 0.7 or so, 0.75 acre feet per lot, or about 3.4 acre feet for the entire development. And the water rights for the property include 3.65 acre feet from the lower Dawson, which is greater than the demand. They also have water in the Denver and lower aquifers, but they were going with lower Dawson. B, evidence that provision has been made for sewage disposal, no central sewer for this. They're going to need lot by lot permitting for the septic systems. C, whether evidence has been provided to show that all areas that may involve soil or topographical conditions presenting hazards has been met. This site was reviewed by Colorado Geological Survey. The site contains only isolated areas of steep slopes, is outside Running Creek and Dry Creek mapped 100-year flood zone, and no unusual geologic hazards are known or suspected to be present that would preclude this residential density. So they had no objections. D, whether the application is in compliance with Elbert County subdivision and zoning regulations, and we believe that the proposed plat does follow Elbert County subdivision and zoning regulations. E, the proposed plat application is consistent with the intent, policies, and goals of our comprehensive plan. And this proposed preliminary plat is consistent with the policies and goals of Elbert County Comprehensive Plan, specifically the residential goal, which supports diverse lot sizes in areas. So a few considerations for your decision here. We have surrounding property zoned agriculture and agriculture residential. The applicants addressed all initial concerns and follow-up concerns from review agencies. Again, approval of a final plat will be required for this, along with a subdivision improvement agreement will be fully executed at the time of final plat, and that would be for the road improvements within the subdivision, and that there is adequacy of water to support the subdivision. So a few potential conditions of approval. They'll remove the signs within 2 weeks. The preliminary plat shall not become effective until fees are paid, conditions of approval are met, and the preliminary plat is recorded. The recordation of all appropriate documents is to occur within 180 days of Board of County Commissioner approval, and not more than 12 months after satisfying conditions of approval for the preliminary plat and sign off by the appropriate parties, a complete final plat application shall be submitted to our department for processing. And finally, the preliminary plat meets Elbert County standards, and the exhibit does. So that concludes my presentation for the preliminary plat. Here's a look at it, and then the applicants did provide some pictures that they wanted me to go through, and they can come up and speak too.
So Danny, before you go any further, we need to recess for 5 minutes, okay? And we'll be in recess, we'll be back in just a minute, thank you.
Hey, Dallas.
All right, we'll call this meeting back to order. I think everybody's back here, right?
Yes,
All
sir.
right. Danny, I'll go back to you, thank you.
All right, so I just wrapped up my presentation, and we do have the applicant here to describe the property, and we'll both be here to answer questions. So thank
Okay.
you.
Applicant? Hi.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Jill Rapella, representing the applicant. First off, thank you for hearing our application today, and thank you for all you do for your community. And I also want to thank staff. Staff was great to work with, so we appreciated going through the process and working with them. I really don't have anything to add to the presentation. Danny did such a great job, and it's a very simple application, so I don't want to consume your time with repeating anything. The only thing that I'd like to add, based on the feedback that we got from the community in the community meeting as well as the Planning Commission, the V Hill family, and it is going to be the family that will have these 5 lots. It's the parents and their adult children that are going to be taking all 5 lots. The family members have already executed among themselves a road maintenance agreement for the stretch of private property that they are. We're hoping it's a template to share with the neighbors to the north, that they might be able to come together and do a maintenance agreement for their section. The V Hills don't use that portion of the land. But because of this application, that road is going to be improved and maintained to a much higher level than what is currently there today. So that's a benefit that they're offering to the neighbors. Otherwise, I'm available for questions.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Buck.
I actually don't have a lot of questions. I'm not even sure I have one question, but I wanted to just say, good job, Danny. I like the project. I did have some questions, but you covered them. So it was in regards to the water, to make sure that we got that all addressed. I'd like to see a unanimous decision from the Planning Commission. That says a lot to me, and I don't have any other questions for you.
All right, Commissioner Schroeder.
No, I have no questions.
All right, and I have no questions either. All right, with that being said, public input, is there any public comments? All right, seeing none, we will move on. Is there a motion on the table?
Yes, Commissioner, I would like to make a motion to approve the V Hill Family Rezone RZ 2025-0004 and the V Hill Family Preliminary Plat PP-2025-002.
All right, there's a motion, is there a second?
I will second that with a friendly addition of the approval of the conditions of approval there. If that's
right.
acceptable.
So there's a motion and a second. All sign in favor of aye.
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 Motion carries. All right, thank you. May entertain a motion to close this hearing.
Mr. Chair, I move we close the public hearing on V Hill Family Rezone RZ 2025-0004 and V Hill Family Preliminary Plat PP 2025-0002.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now we need to, next item, we need to open the Board of Adjustments. So, does anyone want to make a motion to do that?
Mr. Chair, I move that we open as the Board of Adjustments.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, sign of aye.
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 Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, I move that we open the public hearing on wall variance VAR 2025-0003.
So motion, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Right. Well, good afternoon, Board of Adjustment. This will be the wall variance of VAR 2025-0003. So this site is located off of County Road 5. The site address is 38636 County Road 5. And the owners of the property are Cheryl and Robert Wall III. And the parcel number is 7523200143. The current zoning here is agriculture. It will remain agriculture. And the site size is 41.5 acres approximately. The request here is a major variance, which would be a reduction of the front setback. Kind of hard to see here, so I'll move to the next slide for the location, but it's generally in the northwest of the county. Here's another look. It's a mile from the Douglas-Elbert County line, and it's about 4 miles northwest of Elizabeth. Here's a look at the zoning map. The zoning for the property, again, is A, agriculture. Other zoning in the area includes PUD, RA1, residential agriculture, and agriculture residential. The site is shown there with the yellow star in the middle of the screen. Here's an aerial view of the property. You can see Coyote Hills subdivision to the west. To the north is the Hilltop Landing PUD. To the south are a variety of agriculture residential subdivisions and the Gamble Oaks PUD kind of in that lower right with the forested area and the smaller lots. Here's a look at the property, zooming in a little bit, and we can zoom in a little bit more. This property has structures very close to the property line, and that is a result of the time these structures were built. So we'll move forward here, but basically you can see setback 42.5 feet is an existing garage. There is a proposed garage addition, and that's why this variance application began, and that is 52 feet from the property line. The existing residence is there shown with the arrow, and that is currently about 62 feet or so, and maybe 65, but either way, they would need a variance for any addition for this house. So here you can see another site plan. The proposed garage will be a 26 by 24 addition to the existing residence. The reduction to the front setback request is for 107.5 feet. And that would allow the existing shed building and property line to become able to be altered without another variance application, and it would allow for this new building. So there have been no objections received from neighbors, no utility easements are impacted. This project began August 13th of 2025. There is no community meeting required for variance applications. There were 2 review cycles, the first just for the garage, and then a second review cycle for the expanded variance request, and that wrapped up November 4th. All notice requirements were met per Elbert County zoning regulations with sign, mailing, and newspaper publication. So the applicant made all requested revisions by referral agencies. There are no outstanding objections. The application, again, did go on 2 referral periods, one for the reduction for just the garage addition, and then one for the expanded variance request, and there were no comments or objections. No public comments have been received for this. The applicant stated that other neighbors actually likely have the same issue with some of their older buildings, as she spoke with some of her friends and neighbors in the area, and there is no HOA or architectural review committee, standard agricultural lot. So the approval criteria follow zoning regulations Article 3J7. So the first is by reason of exceptional narrowness, shallowness, or shape of a specific piece of property, topographic conditions, or other extraordinary and exceptional situations, the strict application of zoning regulations would result in a peculiar and undue hardship. So this property's topography and current layout of the house make the northwest corner of the residence an ideal place for a residential addition of the garage. There might be other locations where the addition to the residence could be sited, but other placements may cause more difficulty, and any location that connects to the existing residence would require a variance because the residence is located just over 60 feet from the property line. B, the extraordinary and exceptional situation on the property is not self-imposed. So the basis for this variance request is the result of existing legal non-conforming buildings on the property. Any location for this addition would require a variance. C, the variance complies with the purpose and intent of the standard to be varied and generally observes the spirit of the zoning regulations. The intent of setbacks, again, is to keep privacy and separation between uses and structures. The proposed variance encroaches 108 feet on the standard agricultural zone, 150 feet front setback. Considering that the garage is already 42.5 feet from the property line and that structures have been on the property for at least 50 years and no public comments or concerns about the building location has been presented, the variance does comply with the purpose and intent of the standard that is being requested to be varied, which is, again, a reduction of the front setback. And then finally, D and E here. The variance will not substantially impair the appropriate use or development of the adjacent property. The adjacent lots are already developed, and this variance will not impair the ability of the adjacent properties to develop or adversely impact any adjacent lots. The lot across the street, there's really no conflict with any residences in the area. And the proposal is a minimum relief to be able to, the applicant to construct the residential addition and remove the non-conforming restrictions from the existing garage. The expanded request is the minimum amount to allow the existing buildings to be considered conforming structures. So the reason that is important is the applicant would not have to return for another variance if there was some kind of garage addition or change to the other buildings, and the process can be a cumbersome one that can be expensive. So that is why the expanded variance is being requested. So a few considerations for your decision. Requesting a variance, again, it's for the purpose of this residential addition, but it will also serve other purposes to help the applicant and her property. The expanded variance would remove non-conforming restrictions, and all referral comments have been addressed. No public comments in opposition have been received. So here are some standard conditions of approval. The applicant shall remove the signs within 2 weeks. The variance shall not become effective until all fees are paid, conditions of approval are met, and the variance resolution is recorded. And because we work only on resolutions for variances, 3 doesn't really apply because we'll be the ones recording that resolution, but all documents recorded within 180 days of Board of Adjustment approval. So that is my presentation for the wall variance, and I will take any questions. The applicant is also here to address questions if needed.
Okay. The applicants have anything they would like to add?
A little clarification, it said that the property is owned by myself and Robert, and actually Robert is deceased. He's my late husband, so it's owned by me. And I want to just make it, I guess the commissioners aware that this was kind of a can of worms that opened up with a very simple project. I don't have anybody living across from me. There's really nobody that's affected. One of my neighbors is here, but this is an issue countywide because this property, you can't see it in that picture, but behind that house sits a house that was built in 1850. It's an original homestead house. This was an original dairy in the county. And all of these buildings were built closer to the 50s and 60s. And so the change in the setback requirements came much after their construction. And anybody who's sitting on agricultural land that has buildings and homes that were conveniently put close to roads so that you could get access to electricity and gas lines and things such, they're all going to be affected by this. So as I drive through the county now, I look at everybody and I go, you're affected, you're affected, you're affected. So I really would love to request that the commissioners review the setback requirements and try to do something to grandfather these older agricultural properties in the county so that everybody can save themselves from the 4.5 months that I've been going through this process and learning. And quite honestly, Danny's been wonderful and been there the whole way, but he's been learning too, because originally I was told if I had a fire or a tornado that I lost 50% or more of any individual building, I would not be able to replace it in the same place. They did find out that state law supersedes somehow, and so that is not correct. I could build the exact same thing, but I'd have to rebuild a milk parlor that I don't use, instead of making a functional building. So in order to just help the county, help my neighbors,
maybe help you guys not have people like me bugging you, since I've called Mike a couple times in this process. I'd love to see if there's some way that we can grandfather other properties like mine, and, all I'm trying to do is actually keep my 43 acres together, not subdivide it, and it's been quite a process.
Okay. I think it's something we can work on going forward. Commissioner Schroeder, do you have any questions?
Not for the applicant. I appreciate coming today. My question would be for Danny. The point 5 that you made on the staff report to apply for, I guess it kind of applies to what we just talked about, the expanded request to the minimum amount to allow the existing buildings to be considered legal conforming structures. I don't see that in the resolution. Does that need to be part of the resolution?
So I have a resolution that removed the garage portion. So the resolution I have is a request for variance to reduce the front property setback to 42.5 feet from the property line for the property as a whole.
For the whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay, that's why I just wanted to make sure that we had covered that.
There are 4 separate buildings that are all too close at this time, and they're varying distances from the road, but there are 4 that are affected.
All right, thank you. That's all you
Fair
have.
enough, that's all I had.
All right, Commissioner Buck.
So I had that same question, and it's been answered. The only other question I had was, is there a reason that the garage addition is at 52 feet and the house is at 62 feet? And the
Yes.
property line is 42 feet, so it didn't make sense to me. It's like, why couldn't we push it out? So we don't have anything closer than the 62 feet except that one building.
So it is you could tell from the picture that Danny showed that it is a standard 1960s rectangle. And so because of where the fireplace is located, they're on that side of the house, and that is the living room and kitchen side of the house. If the garage were to go anywhere else, it would enter into a bedroom. Which seems
I saw
pretty
that, I
awkward.
saw that picture, and I said, I wonder if that's why.
Yes, and so we are offsetting the garage just a little bit, both for architectural interest, but also to be able to work with the existing window and fireplace.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll open this up for any public input, public comments. Ma'am, you got to come up. Yep. You need to give us your name and address, please, for the record. Thank you. You'll need to give us your name and address for the
Christy
record.
Jones, 980 Fabian Circle.
Okay.
So I'm directly right across the road, which my other neighbors are back there as well. So I heard residential addition, I'm hearing, my understanding, just a garage, you just want to put add a garage to the property, to the house, right? My big concern is that there's no impact to water whatsoever, which sounds like, that's my question, that there's no, that's been looked at, that's been reviewed, that's been part of this process.
I currently have 2 wells on the property, one residential and one agricultural, and we're adding a toilet because there's a mudroom in it and a garage, but there'll be no.
Yeah, all right, sorry.
So I currently have 2 wells on the property. There's one ag well and there's one residential well. And I do have all my water rights, but there's no change in anything with regard to water. We're adding a half bath in the mudroom section. We're bringing the laundry from the basement upstairs. And the garage is actually being added because I'm trying to make the house so that I can stay in it for a long time, and walking across the slippery, icy driveway in the winter isn't a whole lot of fun.
All right.
So I don't want to break a hip.
All right, thank you. Any other public comments?
My name is Bonnie Betts. I live at 1085 Sage Road, directly south of her. My property is attached to hers, if you will, and I fully support this change for her.
Thank you. All right, any other public comments? Ma'am,
So I just want to state, we're immediately south, like half a mile of the Independence development, which is now hundreds and thousands of houses. And immediate neighbors' wells are going dry. Dry. So I want the commissioners, I assume you know that you're aware.
yes, we've been made aware.
It's not just one person.
But that's-
it's several, where people's
Understood.
wells are water going dry.
Understood. This is not going to have any impact on that, though. Thank you. All right, no other public comments? All right. Commissioners, do you have any other comments or questions?
No other comments.
All right, we entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the wall variance, case number VAR 2025-0003 with the conditions of approval that presented.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor, side of aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Now can we entertain a motion to close this? Nope, do not need the,
Mr. Chair, I move we close the wall variance public hearing, case number VAR 2025-0003.
the motion is second.
Second.
All in favor, sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Now, we need a motion to open the Baird variance, VAR 2025-0002.
Mr. Chair, I move we open the Baird variance VAR-2025-0002.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor, sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. When you're ready, take your time.
Okay. Oh, geez. Good afternoon. I never know with this microphone how it's going to end up. For the record, Kelsey Lanham with the Elbert County Planning Department, and your final presentation of the day is going to be the Baird variance. Case number VAR 2025-0002. So a little bit about the project. The site location is 35510 Cimarron Trail in Elizabeth. It is a 5-acre property zoned RA1, and the applicant is Mark Baird, who is requesting a major variance for a front setback of 50 feet where 100 feet is required. The timeline of the project, so their pre-application meeting was in June of this year. Their review cycle was September and October of 2025, and here we are today for the Board of Adjustment. All notice requirements were met per the zoning regulations as well. Due to the simplicity of this project and what's being proposed, these were the agencies that responded during the referral period, and there are no outstanding objections from any of the agencies. Here is a look at the zoning map. The property depicted by the red star, like I mentioned, is zoned RA1. The Western Country Ranch Planned Unit Development is to the north, that's that purple zoning. And then to the east is an agriculture and commercially zoned property. The development standards for setbacks in an RA1 zoned property is 100 feet from the front property line and 25 feet from the side and rear property line with a 35-foot building height maximum. And like I mentioned, the applicant is requesting a 50-foot front setback. Here is an aerial view of the property, a lot of open land surrounding. And here is their site plan. I tried to use colors that would pop on the screen, but the property line is outlined in green, and you can see Cimarron Trail is located on the east side of the property with County Road 142 to the north. This creates those two lot frontages naturally. The south property line would be considered its side, and then the east property line would be considered the rear or side as well. It's the same dimensional standard, so it'd be the same setback for that one. The proposed structure meets all other development standards for an RA1 zone property. The proposed structure is it's outlined in red, and right now it would be placed about 79 feet from the property line and 59 feet from the easement. As presented and just mentioned, the structure, so it's placed further back than the 50 feet, but the applicant is requesting the 50 feet in the event that the building does need to be shifted a little bit and just go closer to the property line. So it'd be about 29 feet of wiggle room, if you will. Currently on the property is the applicant's residence and an existing horse stable that is just to the east of the proposed structure. And that horse stable is at the same distance that is being proposed for this structure. Here is a closer aerial just to give you a better understanding of what the property looks like. The proposed structure, again, it's shown here by the red box. There will already be access to it, and no changes will be needed for that. The property, as you can see, has trees all along the property lines to give that buffer and screening as well, so there won't be a visual disturbance. Public comments. So there were 3 residents who verbally inquired about the project. No physical comments were received. One resident inquired how the property owner obtained their mailing address during the public hearing notices and wanted to know more information on the project. The other 2 residents just wanted more specifics about the project because they saw the sign. This information was relayed to the applicant, who then called those residents directly and spoke with them. So the review criteria for a major variance is found in Article 3J7 of the Elbert County zoning regulations. These are summarized because they are pretty lengthy criteria. So A, by the reason of exceptional narrowness, shallowness, or other extraordinary condition of the piece of the property, the strict application of the regulation would result in undue practical difficulties or hardship on the owner. The property is located on the corner of Cimarron Trail and County Road 142, which naturally makes those 2 lot frontages on the property. Trying to place an additional accessory structure becomes more difficult due to those development standards that had to be met in an RA1 zone district. The applicant is requesting a setback of 50 feet so that the proposed building may line up with the existing horse stable. Placing the structure elsewhere on the property would cause hardship due to potential areas of flooding due to a culvert and the inability to access the structure without further construction or development. B and C, the reason for the variance is not self-imposed. The cause of this is not self-imposed as the subject property was platted this way with no recent amendments. C, it complies with the purpose and intent of the zoning regulations. With this variance, there are no proposed changes to access, nor does the proposed structure modify existing zoning designations, and the structure will be strictly for personal use. D, the variance will not substantially impair the use or development of adjacent properties. The adjacent lots are already developed and established with no additional development being proposed for those properties through this application, nor will this structure impair those. And finally, E, the minimum variance that will afford relief with the least modification possible of the zoning regulations. The variance being requested is the minimum relief to construct an accessory building. Like mentioned before, there is an existing stable located at that same distance that is being proposed for this structure. And considerations for decision, that subject property has 2 natural lot frontages. The existing stable is located at the same distance, and no concerns were presented by the referral agencies. Do have 3 potential conditions of approval that are pretty standard. The applicant must remove the signs within 2 weeks. The variance will not become effective until all the fees are paid, conditions of approval are met, and the resolution is recorded. And 3, recordation must occur within 180 days of BOA approval. The applicant is present this afternoon if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you. The applicant want to step up? Thank you. See if any commissioners have got any questions. Do you have any comments you'd like to make, sir?
I do not. I
Okay.
appreciate your consideration.
Okay.
No question.
No questions?
I just had one real quick. I didn't see an HOA review, so I assume one wasn't necessary.
There is no HOA.
Okay, that's all I had.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, public comment? You'd give us your name and your address, please?
You want my address or?
Your address, yes, please.
I'm Shirley Shepherd. I'm the managing partner of Shepherd Daughters LLC, and we own the land immediately to the east of this property. And I was just hoping, wondering if there would be, what the variance would be to the effect of anything closer to our land. And I think it was answered that there would be no change. Is that what you understand also?
Yes.
So I have no objection to it.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other public comments? All right, seeing none. Ask you commissioners if you have any other questions. If not, we'll go to a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the Baird variance VAR 2025-0002 with the conditions of approval as presented.
All right, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, sign of aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. All right, we need a motion to close the Board of Adjustments.
I'll make a motion that we close the Board of Adjustments.
Second.
All in favor, sign of aye.
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 Aye. All right, we'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we adjourn today.
Second.
All in favor, sign of aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. We are now adjourned. Thank you.